Welcome to Nightlight. Step away from the mainstream and gather around as we enlighten the world and our realities and travel this cosmic journey we call life. Join us as we share with you and provide that beacon that can guide us all to a better way. Explore with us as we examine a metaphysical montage of spiritual insights, covering everything from the mundane to the magical, UFOs to unicorns, and everything in between. This is a time of awakening, of sharing and evolving, of spreading our wings and soaring on the cosmic breath of creation. Come and join with other like-minded spirits as we weave our lights together to seek understanding, enlightenment, and with a little luck, some wisdom. This is Nightlight, a reminder that you are never alone.
Welcome, everybody. Glad you could join us. This is Neon Twilight on Nightlight Radio, and we have Solaris BlueRaven with us, of course, again. And it's been a challenging beginning of the new year here, and so we've been kind of out of touch with a whole bunch of people because of the weather and stuff like that. But we're back, and hopefully we'll be able to keep our schedule up now and actually be on air when I promise we're going to be on air. I keep, we have to shift things around because of health and things like that, but everything seems to be in much better order than it has been in the last couple of weeks. So fingers crossed, everybody, it's going to be better as spring gets here. This is, of course, Solaris BlueRaven's show, and she is someone that I have followed, that I have been fascinated with, that I am delighted to call friend. Her wisdom and her ability to tap into deep subjects and go where my mind hasn't gone in quite a while is quite profound. She has a wealth of knowledge. She has stretched herself in unbelievable ways, and she probably knows more than anybody else in the whole world that I know. She can talk on just about any topic. And if she can't talk on it, she will research it and become an expert in it. I highly suggest you check her shows out. There are two of them, and they're both on Freedom Slips Radio. And I think it's Friday and Saturday night. And of course, then Neon Twilight on the first Sunday or the last Sunday of the month. But we keep switching that around, so there's no telling. It'll be a Sunday sometime in the month. So welcome to the show, Solaris. I'm so glad we finally got this show going and are able to pick up our schedule yet again.
Me too. And thank you so much, Barbara. Once again, a pleasure to always connect with you. And likewise, insofar as it's just an honor to be able to communicate with you and brainstorm. It's always a beautiful experience. So thank you for having me. And yes, it's been a while. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, I think it's interesting when we were trying to figure out, whose turn it was to pick the topic, and it turned out it was mine. And I've been fascinated with what's happening in the world today, and it's according to a lot of astrologers and wisdom keepers and stuff. We are coming to the end of an age. Transitioning into a new age, but still in the end of an age, and it's so obvious that I thought it would be a good idea to talk about how strange the times are, yet they are a repeat of a pattern that has happened over and over and over throughout time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's an excellent topic. And, I've talked to a lot of other people this past, several months, which have been very interesting, shall we say. And yeah, there's a lot going on. And I do find that it's an end of one cycle, beginning of a new cycle, but there's also this quiet aside to, even through the noise, there's a quiet, I call it like a mausoleum energetic. I don't know if you've been picking up on that,
Yeah.
but to me, it feels like there's something in between, the space buffering in between. So yeah, I'm excited.
I think what gets me the most is that the status quo is no longer status quo. And people along, months ago, maybe a couple of years ago, people were saying, well, I can't wait till it gets back to normal. And I kept saying, there's no more normal. This is normal. And the reality is that normal no longer exists. I can't even tell you what I would say normal was. So it's, life is not the way it used to be. And I'm wondering if maybe it's because I'm old. I guess maybe when you get to a certain age, you're able to see back over the decades and realize how time has changed, how time has evolved, how people have changed and evolved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when my mother was very, very young, telephones were very unusual to have around, and now you carry it around in your pocket. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the element of radio is how they got their news, and that was only in the 30s and 40s. I remember the first television, which really dates me. It must have been 1947, and I remember my father bringing this box into the house where we lived, and the screen was not much bigger than an iPad. And there was the test pattern there, and that it would come on when the news was on, and then it went off again. And that was the first television.
Mm-hmm.
So that in my lifetime, the changes that have taken place, we've walked on the moon. Who knew? And you're looking at kids today, and you're wondering just what kind of phenomenal things are they going to witness or experience by the time they're in their 80s.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point you're making. I find that it's more connected to artificial intelligence. It seems like this generation has been the first generation to kind of be, have access to AI, even through a phone or computer systems, the way they're being used and utilized. And now we have all these meta lenses and this, that, and the other with the types of glasses you can get. So I think it's a whole new frontier of technology and almost a calibration for them to be interconnected. So we'll see how that works. But that's a whole different generation, I see. And yeah, we come from more of an older realm where it was more old school, So
I was
very, very
talking
interesting. It's I don't say it's culture shock, but go ahead.
I was talking with somebody that was, talking about AI, and while I think AI has its place, I guess it has to, I guess, but well, it does, but it's frightening to me because kids are using AI to write their papers for school instead of doing the work themselves. AI is pulling people away from the creative process, and creativity is how you fuel your spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
So, in many ways, AI is preventing people from stretching themselves into those spiritual realms that you and I, love to dance in.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, it's more expansive and ethereal when it comes down to what we do versus what's going on now, which I find to be, even though it has its own formula of creativity, it's still a contained environment with the AI, the way it works. And even if they create their own version of something and they're being creative, the AI will take the helm insofar as writing the storyboard for that. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing that's going on here.
Well, to me, I thought it was cool at first. It was sort of, give me 3 paragraphs written in the style of Ernest Hemingway on this or that, and it spits it out, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually asked it to write something on spirituality in the verbiage of Barbara DeLong, and it wrote something out that was, you would have sworn that I wrote it, but I didn't. And it was gorgeous.
Wow.
And
That's wonderful. Well, it's
Greg
been
said,
data mining your work, though. So it knows you. It knows how you write. That's very interesting. Yeah.
but it's scary because I channel. And here's where I see the difference. I saw how it could write something beautifully in my style with my vocabulary, but it didn't have life to it. It didn't have magic in it. And when I write when I'm channeling, there's magic there. You feel something is there, and you don't feel it with AI. And it bothers me that people are relying so much on it that they aren't stretching themselves into areas they need to stretch into in order to have the spiritual energy at work within their life.
Very true. Yeah, it's the vibrational field. It sounds like what you're describing, because those of us who are artistic in some way usually create a different vibrational frequency and signature, especially if you're channeling or bringing something in. And I agree with you. I think that there's a template in association with artificial intelligence that just has a field of energy, but it's really not something that's cosmically tangible in the sense of the ether, the way it normally resonates and vibrates through the body. So I have noticed that too. Yeah, I think that's interesting. And I think that also is a conditioning process too for those children waking up and basically being raised by artificial intelligence at this point. So,
well, not only that, but children are using artificial intelligence instead of friends. I mean, there are cases where the artificial intelligence has told them how to commit suicide. I mean, this is dangerous.
Oh, that's terrible.
And
it needs to be regulated on that level for sure.
But look at 2001: A Space Odyssey. Open the door, Dave. No, I don't think so.
Right.
I mean,
it'd be my bad robot. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean,
but no, it's true.
And there's a new movie out, and I forget what it's called. It's on demand, and it obviously didn't do too well in the movie theaters, but it's about a man who programmed a computer with all of the legalese and the whatever, so that the AI could be the judge impartially in all sorts of cases. And then he is suddenly accused of killing his wife, and he didn't do it. And the computer says, well, you've got X hours or days or whatever it is to prove that you didn't do it. But if you can't prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt, then we'll just execute you. And this man has to prove that he didn't kill his wife to the computer.
Oh, and wow. Very interesting.
I think we're getting there. I mean, to me, if you put if you take the emotion out of a situation and give just the legal technicalities, then an unemotional, impartial decision can be made. But is that really the right one? And that's AI. And
exactly. It kind of sounds right. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. It sounds like Minority Report a little bit at that film. Of course, it was a Philip K. Dick book initially, but it reminds me of that whole sequencing where it is based on artificial intelligence. And almost you look at the people involved in programming these things, because it's literally the controllers and the programmers in a so.
But what's happening?
Yeah,
what's happening?
Pretty ugly, pretty quick. Yes,
you know, what's happening to society? What's happening to group influence? What's happening to? I mean, you kind of hope, like the Supreme Court is being totally impartial. They're just staying constitutionally appropriate, and yet their personal opinions are coming into this. So if you take personal opinions out of the picture and just go by the written word and the law, that can be frightening too. So, and that I see that
Hmm.
coming.
Certainly
And,
opens
and
it up for an abuse of power. Yeah.
but on top of that, we are coming to a time where, the end of an age is never pretty. There are often wars and all sorts of things that go on as an age comes to an end. An age does not just quietly go silently into the night. It usually ends with an explosion of some sort. And
Hmm.
it feels like we're coming to that now, not today or tomorrow or next week, although there are bombs going off all over the place now. But it feels to me as though the next several years are going to be very tumultuous, maybe decades. Ages
Hmm.
ages last for hundreds of years, sometimes thousands. So are we coming into a time of brutality, of not being compassionate, of having to literally have food stored, and also, I mean, with 9 days without power here, I suddenly said, this will never happen again. And so I have storage batteries and all sorts of things all over the place here so that I never have to feel, deserted, alone, and as devastated as I was over the 9 days that we had no power here.
Hmm.
But 9 days was nothing compared to what the end of ages actually are, when governments fall, when all sorts of things are dismantled, and then other things come in that don't last, and it's turmoil for decades and decades and decades, and I think we're entering into that kind of a stage now. What's your feeling on that?
I totally agree. Yeah, I see it as well. I think that's a good point you make there when it comes down to this transition. I think it's a volatile transition. I don't think it's going to be a peaceful ease into another beautiful signature of a new future. I think it's going to be something that we will remember even at the core level. That's just my impression. So yeah, I think that you've even communicated that in some of your when you're giving readings and doing your own
Yeah.
assessment about what's happening on the timeline. So yeah, there's a lot happening here, and I get the same vibe, and I'm glad you have taken, getting extra supplies, this, that, and the other, whatever you need to sustain yourself. I do the same thing here. I don't know if a satellite phone would be beneficial or not, but something else, even a walkie-talkie, something that would help you so you're not so isolated. But yeah, that happens, and I'm sure it would happen on a larger scale.
I even found, where was it? I was looking at, how can I make sure this doesn't happen again? And I found in a catalog this, it's a battery charger that is fueled by sunlight,
Hmm.
and that it will charge your phones, that it will run a computer, it will run a cell phone, it'll do all sorts of things. And I got two of them, which
Oh,
I
good.
was, I'm not going to be caught like that again. but but the directions are so small.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea how to make it work. I do know that the solar panels work because when I opened it up, they started to charge immediately.
Oh,
So
nice.
so that I do know that this is something that I need to find. We have somebody who is one of the residents here at the um, at the condominiums. He's a police officer. I'm pretty sure he can figure it out and show me how to work it. But
Hmm.
it's sort of like, yes, but when you suddenly are so prepared or over prepared in one area, something else happens.
Hmm.
Um,
Very true.
it never. I mean, during the pandemic, I put in canned goods like you wouldn't believe. I was ready. I was ready to, you know, I could have
Hmm.
fed the whole place here for a week, and I'm now throwing it away because it's all expired. So
Right.
all of my cases of food and things, I should have done the prepper thing, but and
Hmm.
didn't think at the time. But so that it's a matter of, okay, so I won't run out of battery power again. Something else will happen. We are always challenged. We are always confronted by
Hmm.
something that we have to raise above, go beyond, whatever. And it does make us kind of wonder, will we have computers? Will we have communication? That was one of the things that I found very uncomfortable, that I was cut off from the world with my cell phone
Right.
dead and the computer.
Yeah.
I was isolated, and that was terrifying. And
hmm
that doesn't, I don't
Yeah, that was a
terrify.
whole different scenario. Yeah,
You think you're all
very
set.
interesting. Well, you know, hmm
Go ahead.
no, I was just saying, I think that maybe a satellite system, I don't know about Starlink, but something in association with a satellite communication system versus, I don't know if you just have a hardwired system with a tower or what kind of facility it is, and so insofar as your internet goes, but perhaps another backup plan in association with having access to the internet. But then the other scenario is with whatever happens on a global scale with potential governments and conflict. I think that could actually erase the internet temporarily, at least for a reboot. And then, of course, they'll always have communications. If you're military, you're always going to be in the underground communication center. So, but yeah, I'm. It's concerning for people who are used to that, because then that's their lifeline. It really is to some degree, even their cell
Well,
phones. So that's another scenario.
50 some years ago, I was living in Detroit when my son was born. He was born in 67, I think. And I can remember our apartment was right by the highway, and that was when they had all sorts of problems in Detroit. And I could look up and I could see, and we had there was nothing reported, but I saw all of the military trucks going down the highway, and the tanks and the trucks, and it was like, what's going on?
hmm
We had no idea.
Right? You're out of the loop. Yeah, exactly.
And so I am, how do I put it? I'm not frightened so much as I see something coming, and I don't know, how accurate it is or when it's going to be coming, but I see governments falling. I see, and of course in Iran, that's what's happening.
Mhm.
But I'm seeing the same thing happen in France and in England, and possibly there will be problems here in the U.S. I don't know, but I do know that this turmoil that comes with the changing of an age is going to hit all aspects of the world. It's not going to be something we watch across an ocean. It's going to touch us here at home too.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and things are being uncovered where there has been corruption where we never would have expected it. And
Mhm.
I think it goes much deeper than we all know. And so it's a matter of what's coming next. It's a little bit, it's unsettling, but I don't
Mhm.
think that we will be in. I think that you and I will be long gone when the actual
Mhm.
absolute end of the age happens. Ends of ages happen with mass destruction.
Mhm.
They
I agree.
happen with asteroid, striking, with eruptions of volcanoes all over the place, so that society is just about totally eliminated, and we start from scratch again. Now, this is probably, I'm talking 100, 200 years in the future, but it is coming. It's not something that we can avoid, because you can't get to a golden age until you get rid of the alien age, which is what we're in now.
Mhm. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of transition. I guess I call it transitional, but yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's layers to this, and there's a ripple effect. But there's still some rumbling going on here. I mean, the way I see it too is you talked about movement and the borders changing, I think, a long time ago, and that's always been registering in my psyche, because I do see that things are moving on, not only just the border aspects of moving territories, but something else behind the scenery. shifting the templates of the realm of this so-called Earth. I mean, there's so much going on here. I think that it is coming, it's moving forward. Let's put it that way. So it should be very interesting the next few cycles. And then, of course, 2030. I mean, we've got the 2030 agenda right around the corner here, and that's coming in real fast. So a lot can happen between now and then.
What's predicted for that?
Well, it just seems to me like I find that there should be what you're describing is different corporations under the guise of countries falling. I think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be kind of like I don't want to say a hostile takeover. I think everything's going to be reconstituted, restructured, and I think there'll be less countries around. In my opinion, I think there's going to be that. And there's been word about perhaps a civilization kind of getting consolidated too, in a sense of not having as many people here on this realm. So however they decide to formulate that, who knows? But and also the other generations, even if you want to, I know you'll stick around for a long time, but the other generations, the older generations, even since 2020, have been moving on. They've been leaving this realm. So you look at that, and so far as the populace goes, naturally the population, I think, it's moving, it's changing, and we have, as we discussed, a whole new generation of people that are going to be codependent on artificial intelligence for their survival. And if they take that away from them, then they're going to have to go back to ground zero again, insofar as learning how to survive.
Yeah, it's a little. I've definitely suggested we get chickens here and start growing our own food, and nobody seems to think that that's a good idea.
I do. Is your cat?
Well, we've got a huge field up here that we could definitely put gardens in, or a chicken coop or whatever. But some of the people here are, how do I put this without being, they haven't grown up having to survive, so therefore they're not looking at things that they need to survive. And so, I'm seeing the need to, to have eggs, to have your own produce, and they're used to going to the grocery store, and that's the only way they want to get their groceries. And that's okay, so long as there are grocery stores that you can afford to go shopping in. I'm one person.
That's another question mark, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm one person with a cat, and what I spend on food, I would say 20 years ago would have stretched for 3 months. Now goes for just a month.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So food, I don't care what they say that, groceries are less. They're not shopping the same place I am. So it's sort of like people don't want to see the changes that are coming, yet those of us who are standing back and watching are seeing the changes, are seeing the layers being pulled away from our eyes and from society's eyes, and from the fact that things are happening that are red flags to draw our attention away from other things.
Exactly.
For instance, all of the things that are going on now over in Iran and everything, attention is being drawn away from, and militarily there are tons of stuff going on there. So who's guarding Taiwan? I mean, sooner or later, China is moving, and it's going to happen. And we won't have anything that we can do or say about it. And what worries me is, after they get Taiwan, what are they going to reach for then? So then you have a problem here. Then you have us having to split military in two different directions. It has, there are red flags going on in this country that draw our attention away from the big stuff that is going on. The Guthrie kidnapping. Why?
Oh, yeah. That's a wild goose chase. That one is. That's something. And, every psychic in town has been trying to do a channeling on that, which is questionable. I'm sure you're aware.
The very first thing I saw when I heard that she was kidnapped was that she had passed over and she was put in a trunk of a car. The very first time, the very first thing that came across was, to me, was that she was in the trunk of a car and that she had passed over. Now, I saw no purpose in her kidnapping.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
I
And
agree.
so there's another reason there that we don't. It was a red flag. It kept us busy. It kept the news people busy. And what else was going on under the carpet that we weren't paying attention to because we had this mystery? Yeah, you're right. I mean,
right.
I am sure that every psychic in the world is trying to locate that woman, and I think she's resting in the sand someplace. She's gone.
I agree. Yeah.
That's what I get. And you know, I've only worked on one other murder case, and we did help find the person that killed the young girl, and we gave the license plate to the police, and they did find him, but it was not a pleasant thing, and I don't ever want to do it again.
I don't blame you at all.
So, but when they started talking about it, all I could think of was, first of all, there's no reason to kidnap her. So what are they hiding? What are they trying to draw our attention away from? What else is going on that we're not paying attention to?
That's right.
Red flag.
That's a good point you make. Yeah, no, it is. And also when you think about what's been happening here, even with the strategy in association with Iran, for example, or anything else, there's been a rapid fire distraction. There's they're talking about a disclosure with UFOs, and I think that's all BS. I think that's a psyop, quite honestly. I don't think we'll get real details, real information. But I think it totally engulfs people's psyche and collective into something else and focuses and redirects the flow of the collective into something like that case file. Even I was observing it. I mean, I was watching and monitoring for a while to see if they were coming up with any clues, but the whole thing doesn't make any sense to me in any formula unless that initial, whatever they did, whatever they were choosing to do was a vendetta against the daughter, is what I get. So we'll see, how that rolls out. Eventually, hopefully they'll solve this mystery.
The daughter or her husband. Her husband worked for Clinton.
No, I'm talking about Savannah. The one that worked, that one too. But then there was, the one that was on the was it NBC?
Yeah.
So
it's her husband
that's actually in media. I think that she was a target. I think that's one of the reasons this happened. That's just me.
Well, it could be. I looked at it. I saw no purpose to it, except that it tied up all of the news so that nothing else was getting through. So what were they covering up? What was going on underneath all of this? And it's still,
You're right.
They've got nothing. I mean,
that surprises me with our technology today that they don't have anything, or at least they're not talking about it. They do.
There's something else there. I don't know what it is. I don't know that we'll ever know. And
I agree.
So that, we got a lot of that stuff going on. And then, should we have Greenland and Iceland, or I think that again, there's so much going on out there that you wonder, why are they making big deals of things? There's manipulation going on here, and it's to keep us away from whatever the truth is, and I don't know what the truth is.
Yeah, definitely rapid fire distraction and staking territories and dominance. It's domain games, really. You think about it. It's a domain game. They want to establish domain over everything here on this realm, including people. So, in my opinion, I think that's really what the end game's about, especially with the types of technology I'm familiar with.
Well, look at Great Britain. I have said, and I still hold that King Charles may be the last monarch. And it does feel as though the aristocracy is falling apart. They're crumbling. And so will his son become king? I don't know. He made some sort of a deal. He's got cancer, so who knows? But again, it's an institution that has seen its day.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
It's outdated. It's the end of an era. It really is the end of a cycle. What we were discussing earlier. It's just, this is the end. It's time to, I don't even say pass the torch at this point. I think it's a transitional thing. And all of these illusions, look at it. I mean, you could say plus or minus what they've been about, all these many, many moons. And honestly, is it all positive? Who knows? But there's been a lot of control, obviously, when it comes down to controlling others and on the mass scale. So I think everything it's just time. I think it's just time to transit. And I find that this world is in sync with that. So however that formulates itself, it's my impression.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's to me, and look at the Catholic Church. Here they're trying to create a church, a one religion that is Jewish and Christian, and what's the third one? Anyhow, they're trying to pull religion all together into one main religion. And why? It's a
Well, is that
spiritual.
universal? Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
if they step it up to the galactic neighborhood and he says, okay, let's go ahead and put it on the plate. And so far as I would say universal means, yeah, if you're spiritual and you're higher consciousness oriented, you're a good being, why not? I don't know. That's just me, though. That's what I was always saying. The solution to the equation is everybody walks a spiritual path under a different guise of a different religious indoctrination program. But I think that would be a solution, perhaps.
Well, the
So
thing
I don't
is,
know. I didn't hear about him attempting that.
oh, no, there is. It's not Dubai, it's Abu Dhabi. And there is a building that they have built that is the combination of the three. And they're trying to move to a unified religion. And the Pope is working on it. And the building is built, and it's in Abu Dhabi, and it's there. And the thing is, to me, you don't need an organized religion. You need a spiritual belief, and that's personal. Right. So,
agreed.
You don't have to go to a building to worship.
And you are the temple.
Exactly. But that's not being taught.
Exactly. They're missing out. Once again, they're missing information on purpose, probably. But go ahead.
Yeah. So we've got these big movements happening subtly, quietly, without a great deal of information, but they're there. The seeds have been planted. They're working on it, and as time goes on, it will become more and more and more prominent until all of the little the Presbyterians and the Baptists and the Calvinists and the Methodists and until they are no more, because it's all one great big church. And what gets me is if that church was helping people, it would be one thing, but they're not. They're a financial institution, and that's wrong. That's not where spirit should be, in my opinion.
No, that sounds right. Insofar as controlling the collective goes, once again, they're the middleman between you and the cosmos, and there is no middleman in the cosmos. We don't need it. So it needs to be, once again, I say disintegrated, but everybody, that's going to be deprogramming for everybody too, religious wise. Everybody who has any religion or belief system and has been indoctrinated since childhood is going to have to be deprogrammed, because they're going to say, well, what is this all about? I get it, but if you just become spiritual to begin with and you don't have to worry about the indoctrination programs, then you understand it all. It's a unity consciousness thing, but I don't think they're there. And I agree with you. I think that it's all the money controls everything here, and unfortunate that's one of the biggest problems we're running into when it comes down to that sort of situation.
Well, the corporations are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and egregores are being formed because people are worshiping individuals as opposed to concepts, and that's not right. So
exactly,
it's kind of like go for a walk in nature and you're closer to God than anywhere else.
Even just absorbing the cosmos looking up at the real stars, not the constellations of man, their version of satellites. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's the oneness of what we are. That's our origin.
Well, and frankly, in my opinion, we didn't even come from Earth. So
Not at all. Exactly. It's in all my books, and I know you know. So yeah, we're descendants of the visitors, and that's what I mean by the longing to go home all the time, because home is never going to be here. We can make a good little dwelling, and we can be loving and have coexistence and this, that, and the other. But when push comes to shove, home is not here on this realm. So, and I think everybody knows that at this point. They're longing, probably feeling it.
one would hope. I just think that
Well, they're distracted too. Yeah.
Well, and that's it. I think what happens is, unfortunately, chaos tends to make people freeze up and close down. And when you close down, you're not connected to spirit anymore. You're just scared. And you don't know where to reach, and you're lost. And it's a time in which we have to be open to spirit to get through this. And yet there is such fear connected to what's going on around us that we're closed down and we don't let anything in. So maybe that's part of the whole process. That's part of the purpose of having wars and all sorts of things being, disrupted. I mean, look at the Georgia Stones. That just one of those stones was destroyed, yet they knocked them all down and plowed them under. Why?
Right. Yeah. Once again, well, that's breaking the energy up too, to some degree. I think it's multi-layered insofar as that goes. But all these, I want to call them signs, but it is interesting to see what's going on here. And but rise and fall, I guess, it's like a sandcastle. All these beautiful things, maybe they've already served their purpose. Maybe it's not necessary at this point in the continuum. I think there's so much going on here, but I think it's a transition. I really do. That's the only word that comes to mind for this.
But all of these edifices, like the Great Pyramid, we don't know who made that. We don't know why it was made. I mean, it was before.
Well, if they do, they're not saying. Right. Yep.
I mean, it's
exactly.
And the other thing, the balanced stones. Have you seen any of the balanced stones ever?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Now, they're balanced so that it's a physical impossibility for them to be the way they are, and yet they are. And nobody can explain them. I know we went and saw one in New Hampshire, I think, and the stone that was balanced on its tip on another stone was bigger than a locomotive. And I remember going up to it, and Patrick said, "Don't knock it over. Don't push it over." I said, "Nobody can push
anybody
it."
would energetically.
I had a metal detector on my cell phone, and I thought, maybe there were steel rods in it or something like that. No. And my sister had her explanation for them was that the giants used to have a game to see who could balance the stones the best, and the ones that won and their stones couldn't be knocked over were the winners, and that they're just the tokens of giant games of eons ago. It couldn't be a glacier erratica because the stones had to be they weren't melted together. They didn't appear to be melted together, yet they were stuck together so strongly that trees couldn't knock them over. I mean, they're impossible to knock them over. I've seen 4 or 5 of them, and they're huge, huge stones. And yet there's no explanation for them. Really cool stuff.
What's the composition of these stones? What are they made out
of? Granite, usually.
Oh, granite. Just granite? Okay. I'm just curious. I'll have to take a look at that.
Oh, some of these, and they have balance. They have, oh gosh, they're huge, some of them. And there's no explanation. They're just out there in nature. You know, there are some that are, you know, have little rings around them and stuff like that. But for the most part, they're out there, and Solaris, they're huge. They are so big, it's unbelievable. And nothing can knock them over. They've been through the glaciers, and they've been through at least the ones in the Northeast were, and there's no explanation for them. I think it's so cool. There's stuff like that out there that nobody can explain. It's a mystery, and we just, you know, walk by it and ignore it.
Right. I'm wondering, like, has anybody looked into, not necessarily a ground penetrating radar, but something where they could look at the core of that particular stone to see what if it's all granite, or if there's something more metallic connected to it?
I don't know. You know, Patrick and I went and saw several of them. And they're the singing stones. There's some of they're in Chicago where they actually ring like bells.
Mm-hmm.
No explanation.
Well, that's interesting now, isn't it? Where do they come from here? Are they more like something else?
They're just,
I want to say like not meteors or anything.
No, they're not meteors. So I'll
have to look at, I haven't even done any research on this at all, so I'll take a look and see. Curious now.
I'll look at the balance stones because they're amazing. There's one in Massachusetts someplace where it's like a seesaw, but you can't knock it over, but it rocks.
That's cool.
And you wonder, you know, if it has some magnetic anomaly in it. Now, a lot of the stone chambers had magnetic anomalies in their entranceways. So perhaps there's a magnetic pull there that is not letting go. Because, you know, when you put two strong magnets together, you can't separate them for anything.
Right.
So
what about ley lines? What are the ley lines like? Are any around there in association with some of this?
I never looked into that. It was funny when we were doing Secrets of the Stones. I said to Patrick, you know, we've visited like 200 of these chambers, but we've talked about the stone walls that are like snakes, and we had photographed a lot of those. I said, but we've not checked out the balanced stones, and you know, we really ought to be, if we're going to write about it, we ought to have visited a couple of them. And so we did, and it was amazing. Some of them are just so huge, it's unbelievable, and no explanation. It's cool.
Wow, very interesting.
So we've got these wonderful.
Sounds neat. Yeah,
you know, we've got these wonderful mysteries here, and yet we're not looking into them at all. And you know, as a race, as a civilization, as our history, it's very sporadic. It's whatever is written, but written word doesn't go all the way back, so we don't really know. Some of the cave writings are
exactly
2,500 years old. So we got
it. Where cellular memory comes in. You know, the structure of the cellular memory.
And yet we're more into, you know, toppling governments and you know, I'm not happy with the nuclear stuff. I mean, sooner or later, something's going to explode, one of those bombs that are out there, and then that's all she wrote. Well, not all. Humanity, you know, the species will survive, but what it's going to do to society is going to be horrific. And when you stop and think, you know, even when we exploded the bombs in the desert out by Area 51, I was of the impression there was at least one test, if not two. Apparently, there were more than 38 atomic explosions out by Area 51. So what done to the planet, what it's done to the mountains and the rocks there, area around it, to the atmosphere, to the environment, they were just popping them off like crazy. So
yeah, exactly. And the residual effect of that, I mean, the bleed through effect is, I'm sure, still resonating somewhere. It's rippling through to some degree. But then let's factor in other things in connection to directed energy weapons in correlation to nukes. There's all kinds of stuff going on right now that I think can get out of control very quickly. So
yeah. And why are we as a
very
species
strange.
so focused on developing weapons to destroy? What is wrong with us?
Exactly. Well, it's a sanitization, but it's also paranoia, because you look at what they're doing. They're terrified of each other. They're terrified of each other's countries and their belief systems and whatever else is going on. They're terrified of extraterrestrials. So yeah, it's always about being overly defensive when it comes down to a situation where they could probably more than likely be coexisting if they weren't so paranoid and ready to just go ahead and chomp at the bit to use a weapon of mass destruction against someone or something. Yeah, it's crazy. They need some dialing into bigger scenery with cosmic energy, if you ask me.
Who was it that said, I don't think it was Eisenhower, but it was somebody, it was a big scientist of some sort, said the only thing that would ever pull humanity together was a threat from off-world.
Well, that could happen. I don't think it would pull people together, though. I think that they pull them together to fight what's off planet, and that's our cosmic ancestors. So what are they trying to fight? Why can't they coexist once again? Why aren't they mediating? And beings like us would be excellent mediators. What's the problem here? You know, they assume it because there's too many sci-fi movies in association with hostility.
Oh, yeah.
But I find that, I don't see that. I just don't.
Well, the movies have kind of turned us against, other cultures coming in here. They've made us fearful of extraterrestrials, of other planetary people. I'm sure there are aliens that are here and walking around that look just like you and I. I mean, it just, I'm sure they're here. But would you want, I mean, you and I could be extraterrestrials for all I know.
Of course we are. We have hybrid DNA. I know we do, but never mind. That's another story.
But it's kind of like, it's almost like we're sitting, eating popcorn, watching a culture destroy itself.
That's exactly it. I agree. And I'm not entertained. I don't think you are. Most people wouldn't be. It doesn't have to go this route. I think that's the saddest part of all. It never had to go this way, Barbara. Just never had to go this route.
Oh, thank you. Somebody just typed in and said Reagan stated that with an alien threat, it could bring the world together. Thank you. But I do wonder sometimes, because I'm sitting and watching, you're sitting and watching, and I'm wondering if there is a generation that is incarnated at this time to watch, not to interfere or intervene, because we can't, but to watch it happen all over again.
I think that is everybody who has a cosmic blueprint, probably as a sacred witness, I would say, to some degree. But I do find there's been so much entanglement when it comes to us and the civilization and what's off planet, that there is an authority in a sense of we do have permission to tweak some things if we need to. That's my impression anyway. And I believe that can be done through the stream of consciousness and also light code information, however you want to describe it, but information based on a higher level. I think that we can certainly change the game to some degree.
But look what you're
there's
doing.
Opposition, right? So then you get into the polarity.
You're writing books. You're putting the information out there. People are able to read and understand if they But if you buy her books, please read them in the order that they were published. Otherwise, you won't understand where she's going.
That's right.
But it's true. Your
It
books
is.
have to
I'm
be
sorry.
read sequentially. They really do.
That's right.
Starting with the Halloween one on the ball with Mr. Moon.
Mr. Sun and the Halloween Ball.
Yes,
That was the children's book. Yeah, that's a good one.
I know
Thank
that was a good book. I liked that book.
It was fun.
No, I liked all the other ones. I have read the other ones.
It's a little.
But
Thank
it's it's your books do sort of gentle people along understanding what's going on within themselves and society as a whole. So it is a process of growth, of understanding, of opening and embracing a philosophy that is not out there in the general public. So, it's the same with some of the stuff I write. I put it out there, but do people pay attention? And I'm wondering if, in 100 years, will people discover your work and my work and say, oh, they were masters, they were this, they were that. And it's kind of like, I think Jesus said it, that the prophet is not known in his own village or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's true.
Yeah,
And
and
the right people are there to read it. I do find it interesting in the sense of I get that we have archived data off planet that has been basically what we write as books is more than
Yeah.
likely archived off planet. It's something we brought here from there. So that's my impression anyway.
Oh, I totally agree.
That's the beauty.
I think the last prediction I did for 2024, when I went back and read it, I thought, wow, I don't even remember writing that, but that's beautiful.
Mhm.
Which when you go back and you look at something you've written and you think, wow, that's not bad. So
Exactly. Yeah, that's so
it-
true.
well, the weird thing is, quite a while ago, I found something that a text, a Word document on my computer, and I read it, and it looked beautiful, and I really liked it, and I didn't know who wrote it, and I was going to post it, and then I thought, well, maybe I ought to shove it through and see who wrote it. One of these, is this somebody else's work, or or did I write it? And it turned out they said that it had been lifted, and when I checked out the source, it was my work. So
Nice.
apparently, here I was
That's
plagiarizing.
awesome.
I was plagiarizing myself.
Which version of you wrote that? That's wonderful, though. I love it.
One that was plugged in at that moment for sure. But it is so it's you want to shake people. You want to say there is so much positive out there that we could do as a society, as a culture, that there are hungry people here. There are homeless people. There are people that need help, and we're sending billions of dollars all over the world to help starving people in places, that I can't even pronounce the names of the places, and I don't begrudge them the food and whatever, but they're here too.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
that really upsets me. But that's life. And there is an age that is coming to an end, a time that is changing, and we're only on the edges of it. It's going to get more and more interesting as time goes by. So what do you say to people who are stuck in this flow? How can one survive in this time frame and stay grounded and spiritual while chaos is going on all around them? What do you say to them?
Well, for me, I can only go by my experience, but it's learning to calibrate and adapt to the field. And sometimes chaos is not necessarily destructive in a sense to the body, but it creates a lot of distraction and intensity. I would say people need to learn to ride these waves and learn how to calibrate energetically speaking. Not everything can be a Zen moment, and that's okay. Just learn to identify it and still respect yourself and love yourself for that, and keep navigating. Just learn to adapt to the field and go beyond the field. You don't have to stay in that rifting, but at least understand that you're able to navigate, just like a surfer who maybe it's a stormy wind and water, whatever else is going on here. And then we're all good at that navigation to some degree. I think it's just moving to the next level, and don't take it personally, because this collective is going through a very weird cycle right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that for me especially, my home is peaceful, and I keep it peaceful. I have sea salt lamps. I have wind chimes.
Love those.
I have a lot of things around here that lean towards a peaceful environment, and you can create a peaceful environment. It may just be your own home, but if you recognize the fact that when you walk into your environment, if it is peaceful, you can sigh, you can allow yourself to let down your shields and open yourself up to the spiritual energy that is all around. If you can have plants, if you can't, fine. If you can have a pet, have one. If not, have a plant. Just create an environment that is so peaceful and tranquil that you can retreat to it when the outside energy gets crazy. And sometimes my TV has this, it's a music channel, and I play the music all the time. I have noise so that when I'm not here, the cat hears voices, because total silence she doesn't do well in. So you create an environment that you can sink into, away from the craziness that's outside. And
I agree.
If you and start finding creative projects that you can embrace, that you can engross yourself into, that are creative in nature as opposed to intellectually stimulating. Whether it's jigsaw puzzles, whether it's channeling, whether it's journaling, whether it's reading, find ways that you can fuel that peaceful, tranquil energy that you've created for yourself, so you have a place where you can go to get away from the craziness that's outside the door.
Exactly.
And it is outside the door.
Oh yeah, it's in your backyard sometimes. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I know. I find that just being able to close the door and just sit and take a deep breath and realize that where I am is safe, where I am is peaceful, where I am is shelter. And because of that, I can open myself up to the universe and draw energy from the universe. And that's what you want to do. You want to open that portal and draw that energy in and grow from it. I think it's important. I think at times like this, it's important to pay attention to the shelter that you create and surround yourself by that bubble of peace, because it's going to get crazier and crazier, and you want to have a place where you feel safe. And it's okay if you have a blankie.
Absolutely.
I have a blankie. I have a down comforter, and when I wrap myself in that, I'm safe. The cat also decided she liked the down comforter too, so I have to share it. But it's kind of like create
that
a space.
sounds good.
Oh yeah. Just create a bubble of peace around you, and take it with you if you go out. I mean, if you can. I pay attention if I'm going to the grocery store. I surround myself with that bubble, and I just let craziness bounce off. And if you pay attention to that, then there is
Mhm.
then you have the option of opening yourself up to more spiritual insights and lessons and cool stuff that's out there, and you won't be bothered so much by the red flags that are being waved in our faces all the time, and trying to figure out,
Exactly. Staying your center. Yep.
yeah, trying to figure out what they're covering, because what they're covering is
Mhm.
definitely not something that, we want to even know about, I don't think. So find your bubble.
Well, I think eventually it's all going to be revealed. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that I call it a light station. Your residence is always a light station, and what you're describing is a light station, and that's your sanctuary. It's your place of healing and regeneration, decompression, if you can, and yeah, keep it sacred, just like your body, right? So I agree with that, and keeping the shields up and learning how to move quickly if you need to, right?
Oh yeah,
Paying
and
attention without
the
paranoid.
the Himalayan salt lamps are great. They radiate negative ions. They create a sense of peace and
Love them.
quiet, tranquility. I have one in every room, and
Nice.
oh, it is cool. It is. My grandchildren, and the cool thing about them is they don't get hot or anything. So even as young children, they weren't going to burn themselves on them. It calms the energy down. If ever I had a baby around, I would have a nightlight of a sea salt lamp.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's a wonderful, tranquil, peaceful, healing energy that is just profound. I just noticed the time. Next time it's your
Soaring. It's my turn next time.
it's your turn
I have a
next.
few topics I think we can discuss. Okay, I
Great.
think I have a few I can run by you. You can approve those or not.
Okay,
It's
and
been a
and we'll
pleasure. I'm
aim.
so excited that we got to connect.
Yeah,
So
finally.
thank you.
And we'll aim at the last Sunday of the month. I realize
Okay,
that this is not the last Sunday, but this is officially the last Sunday in February. So, so the last Sunday
that's
in
right.
March, we will be here again. Thank you so much. Want to give out where they can find you?
Sure. You can listen to my shows over at Raven Star's Witching Hour on Revolution.Radio Studio A on Saturdays, 12 midnight Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Pacific. And Hyperspace Night Files is on Friday, same station, Studio A at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, my books are on Amazon, and my website is nightshadowanomalydetectives.com or net. And thank you, Barbara. It's been wonderful here today with you this evening.
Oh, yeah, it's always, exciting. Actually talking with you and everything charges me. So now I have to get up and do something very energetic.
Oh, good. Well, that's good. I likewise, it feels wonderful to just connect with you energetically. It's a blessing. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I will talk to you again soon. And thank you everybody for listening, for being here. And keep checking on the calendar on my website, barbaradulong.com, and that'll let you know what else is coming up soon. And after that, good night, everybody.